Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I am knitting. Not right now, but most of the time. And I will be knitting. If you're watching this video, you have seen from probably the thumbnail and maybe the YouTube video title that I'm in Scotland. I made it to Scotland. I'm in Edinburgh right now at my hotel, and I am going on a 9-night knitting tour from Edinburgh to the Shetland Islands and back. And I'm really excited. I am exhausted though. It was a long travel day. I have the rest of the day to myself. The tour doesn't start until tomorrow morning. So I want to go explore a little bit around the Royal Mile, Old Town, maybe some New Town if I have time, we'll see, but I just want to poke around. I've been to Edinburgh before, but it's been 10 years, so like I by no means know where I'm going or what I'm doing, but I do have kind of a mental map that I can follow. But I wanted to take you along with me. I want to vlog as much as I can on this trip. And I'm just so excited to share everything with you. By the time you see this, I'll probably be home and resting and recouping and decompressing. But in the meantime, I'm going to have the time of my life and I'll document as much as I can so we can watch it together after the fact. During this afternoon, evening that I have to explore Edinburgh, I have at least one mission in mind, and I'll tell you what that is. I recently started following this travel vlogger, travel influencer named Ruth Aisling, I think is how you pronounce her last name. She's Scottish, I believe, and I actually found her channel because I was looking for info on what the cabins looked like on the Northlink ferry, which is how I'll be getting to the Shetland Islands, and I'll show you later in this video or in the next part of this installment. I'm not sure if this will be a series or not yet. But anyway, I couldn't really find much info online until I found her vlog style YouTube video. So then I poked around her channel more, I followed, and I watched more of her videos. But anyway, she wears this lipstick that I think is just gorgeous. So I did message her on Instagram and I was like, listen, Ruth, thank you for your video on the Northlink ferry. That was so helpful for me, but I gotta know what lipstick you're wearing because I want it. And she sent me a picture of it. It's a Maybelline lipstick in the color Dusty Rose. But that's a UK color, not a US color, so I can't get it back home. So my first stop is going to be to go to Boots, like a beauty supply store, it's kind of like maybe the equivalent of a Walgreens, if you're not familiar, and look for that lipstick, and then my little afternoon of poking around and being a tourist can begin. So I'm going to get my shoes on and let's head out. Okay, but before we head out, I want to show you the hotel room. This is the Radisson Blu Hotel in Edinburgh. It is right on the Royal Mile, so if you're familiar with the Edinburgh City Centre, you'll know what that means. But if you're not, it's basically the main street that starts at Edinburgh Castle and ends at the Parliament Building. So it's a mile stretch of road, and it is a great place to poke around and explore. There's lots of souvenir shops. There's also lots of historic sites to visit, like the castle, like St. Giles Cathedral. But anyway, this is the view outside of my hotel window. I had a great view right onto the Royal Mile, so no complaints there. I tried to put the camera outside the window to get you a good look, but then I quickly had better judgment and decided that's probably not a good idea. So anyway, here's the room. There's the TV. We've got a nice size mirror. As you can see behind me, there's a seating area. Here we've got an espresso machine, and down here you have your standard hotel safe, and then your refreshments to use. In the espresso machine, there's also tea and sugar and milk, along with the utensils and cups you may need. There's complimentary water bottles in the room, which was greatly appreciated. Here's the closet. There are 2 bathrobes and 2 sets of slippers. I love hotel slippers, and I usually take them home to basically live off of for the rest of the year. That's what I did at the end of the Ireland trip. I only took 1 pair of the hotel slippers, the ones that I was using on the trip, home with me, and I wish I had taken the second pair, but you know, it is what it is. Here's the bathroom. There's a nice sized bath. I kept telling myself I want to have a bath one of these nights, and it just never happened. So anyway, nice sized bathroom, nothing to complain about there. And here are the toiletries that came in the hotel room. There's bath salts, there's shampoo, there's conditioner, there's a shaving kit, there were Q-tips, there was a nail file. They really had everything that I needed, more than I needed actually, but really good sized room. I really enjoyed this room. Stayed here 2 nights before setting off to the Shetland Islands, but oh yeah, here's earplugs. And so it goes. There's the Radisson Blu hotel room. I was very impressed. I had no complaints. Okay, I've just put my sunscreen on, and now I'm gonna have a 5-hour energy. I had one of these after I landed on the Irish knitting tour last October, and I think that it really helped with jet lag, but it was a one-off experience. I don't really have these in my life. So anyway, I bought 2 of these for this trip, and I'm just gonna have one real quick before I head out. That's tart, but I really like how that tastes. That's not good. I don't want to like it, but I think it's delicious. All right, let's get going. All right, so one of the first places that I stopped at was St. Giles Cathedral. This was like literally a 10-minute walk, less than a 10-minute walk, maybe like a 3 or 4-minute walk up the road from the hotel. So I was really in a prime location for exploring. I remember 10 years ago when I first visited Scotland, I went to St. Giles and I loved that blue part of the cathedral ceiling, so it was fun to see it again. Also, as I was wandering around the cathedral, there were little alcoves that had fresh flowers, and it seemed like they were prepping for something, and I didn't know what. I didn't really register. Something important was happening, but turns out it was because the following day, the King Charles, and Camilla were visiting the cathedral for, you know, important royal stuff, so they were prepping for that. So that was kind of cool to be in the vicinity of that. Also, on this little excursion outside of the hotel, I stopped by Boots to look for that lipstick. I could not find the color Dusty Rose anywhere, and this ended up being my own error. It was Smoky Rose that Ruth Aisling told me she wore this whole time, so I looked at Smoky Rose and thought, man, that's probably the closest, but it's just not it. It's not Dusty Rose, so joke's on me. I'll tell you more about that later. I also visited this really cool craft market, artisan market at the Tron Kirk, which is an old church, or it's in an old church. It was so cool in here. I've never been to such a cool makers market. If you're in Edinburgh, definitely check it out. It's right on the Royal Mile, and it's just fabulous. Here's what it looks like on the inside. As you can see, there are several different artist booths, and there's all sorts of things. There's art prints, there's coasters, there's keychains, there's earrings, there's project bags, as you can see here. And I ultimately got a little treat at Hoods and Honey's booth. I got a lip balm. This was my first souvenir purchase of the trip. I got a gin and tonic scent, I think, if I remember correctly. Let's see what it says. Yeah, gin and tonic. Wow, I'm amazing. My memory is a steel trap. Then I went to the National Gallery. This was about a 10-minute walk down the hill, and I was really jet lagged. I was very tired, so I wasn't fully appreciating these paintings. I wish that I don't know, my body was working a little bit differently at the time, but it was what it was. I really like that rainbow. I also like this floral painting, and I just kind of walked around the museum, saw what I saw, tried to stay awake, tried to be active. I took this video to show the trumpet vine because we have it in our yard and it's so frustrating. But after the National Gallery, I made my way to Princess Street Gardens, walked around. It was so nice to be out in the fresh air. The weather was amazing. The scenery was even better, and I just felt so happy. Look at this thistle, by the way. It was ginormous. It was huge. Here's my hand for reference. I wish I could have seen it in bloom, but the timing just wasn't in bloom time. I also made my way to the fountain, enjoyed looking at that, and just kept walking around Princess Street Gardens. Got a little lost, but eventually made my way back up to the Royal Mile. This is the close I went through, apparently, and look, here's what it looks like. All right, I'm back in the hotel room. I got my first souvenir, as you may have seen. It's a gin and tonic lip balm. It was only £5. I'm also really thinking about that Highland Cow project bag. It's a wash bag, according to the label, but of course I would use it as a project bag. It was £20. And I decided that if I'm still thinking about it tomorrow morning, I'm gonna pop over and grab it because it's just so cute, and what a perfect little souvenir to have a Highland Cow project bag, even though I'm not going to the Highlands. Maybe I should get the Puffin project bag because I'm going to Shetland Islands. I don't know, I'll think about it. That's a problem for tomorrow, if it's a problem at all. Right now, my problem has to do with this espresso machine. So in October, when I went to Ireland, there was one of these fancy espresso pod machines in nearly every hotel we went to, and my average was really, really bad for figuring out how to get a successful cup of coffee out of one of these. I think this is probably going to be the only hotel where I have one of these, so it's up to me now today to get it right. But also because I'm really, really tired and I don't want to go to bed yet. I want to try and stay up to get my sleeping schedule adapted as fast as possible. So let's try and figure out how to make an espresso. Okay? Gonna add some of this water. That's mine to enjoy. So it'll kind of become like an Americano. And then add 2 of these milks. Victory! Cheers. Okay, I am hungry. And I'm also very tired. So I was thinking of going to a pub, but I just want to go to a Chippy and get some fish and chips, or like just something, and bring it back to my hotel room. Yeah, so let's go do that. Back, I got my fish and chips with vinegar. I went to a Chippy called the Clamshell, which is like just a block up the Royal Mile from my hotel. And this was £12.50 as opposed to $18 with room service, or $19.50 at one of the pubs across the street. So according to these websites, that's how much it would have been. So anyway, I just want to save my money for yarn and fiber, you know, and this is gonna be so good. Dinner is served. All right, it's been a great day, but a long day. It is, what time is it? 7:17 p.m. here in Edinburgh. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. I feel good about how late I was able to stay up. I'm gonna go to bed. I'll probably be up pretty early tomorrow. That's fine. Breakfast starts at 6:30, so I'll be ready, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, hopefully, for that, and then do some walking around the city center while I wait for 11 a.m. to come when the tour starts. So good night, and I'll see you for day 2, or day 1. Day 1 of the tour, day 2 of the trip. I'm tired. Good night. Good morning. It is the morning of July 3rd, the first day of the tour, and I'm starting off on the wrong foot because I realized I didn't pack the shirt that I wanted to wear today. It's one of DJ's short sleeve collar shirts that I've adopted into my wardrobe. I wanted to wear that underneath my purple ranunculus, but I don't have it with me, so I need to pivot a little bit. Let's see, today I think we'll be inside most of the time. When I think about it, I'll show you what I decide when I decide it. Okay, bye. All right, here's what I went with. Black shirt, my purple throwback sweater. I'm wearing sandals because I'm a little overheated, and I went a little nuts and did a full face of makeup. Let's go eat breakfast. I didn't get much footage of the breakfast area, but as you enter, you can see there's this sign that says, "Please wait to be seated." Someone comes up to greet you. They ask for your room number, and then they bring you to a table, and they ask if you want tea or coffee. Typically, most mornings I said coffee, so they brought me my own carafe of coffee and my own carafe of milk. It was just really nice. And then here's the hot breakfast. This is what I got at the breakfast bar. So as you can see, there's a good amount of options. I got mushrooms, I got potato cakes, I got a hash brown triangle, I got scrambled eggs, sausage, a nice scoop of haggis, which was delicious, by the way, and a banana. And then for my drink, I got some cranberry juice with some orange juice. So I really love having just basically a brown, yellow, orange color palette on my breakfast plate. This is my habit and I'm never going to change. So let's move on. After breakfast, I hit the road and went for a walk. When I passed St. Giles Cathedral, someone pointed out to me that they were putting the red carpet down for the king's arrival. So that's when I put two and two together about the flowers I mentioned I saw on the day prior. Then I went up the Royal Mile to the castle. There were a lot of government workers at the entrance, so I didn't go all the way up to the castle gates because I didn't know if I was allowed. So turned around, walked down the street on the back side of the castle, and it was just really nice and peaceful. It felt good to get some exercise. There weren't a lot of people on the street just because it was so early, and I just had a really, really good time. After I got back to the hotel room, I took the opportunity to get some stitches in to calm my nerves, to meet new people, and to have social interaction. Listen, I'm an introvert, okay? It's true. So I took this moment to calm myself and give myself a pep talk that meeting new people doesn't have to be scary. You are going to make new friends. It's going to be the time of your life. And after I gave myself that calming few minutes to knit and get ready, then I headed down to the elevator to meet all my new friends. After we got all the logistics squared away in the lobby, we had our first event of the tour, which was a visit to the Scottish Textile Showcase. This is a storefront in Edinburgh city center, and it is really, really cool. Basically, everything that is offered within this storefront is sourced and made in Scotland. I think some things may be made of yarn from sheep in England, but basically the atmosphere of the store is that these are Scottish goods. So that was really cool. Everything had a story, everything linked back to the people who made it, which was so cool. So we learned about different sheep breeds that are present in Scotland. We learned about different tweeds and the distinction of Harris tweed. They gave us champagne, cheers, and it was just nice to sit and listen and look at all the cool stuff. Here's coasters from Hazel Tyndall, the fastest knitter in the world, and I was just really, inspired by all of the very, very talented makers that made up the inventory of this store. It was very cool. They even showed us this tam that they were going to be presenting to King Charles later in the day, so we didn't get to touch it, but we did get to see it. I really liked these little zipper bags, and there were all sorts of cool things there. This was cute, a little wool wash bar and a little sachet bag for £8. And just knowing that everything in the store was locally sourced and locally made was really special, and I thought it was very, very cool. So definitely recommend visiting the Scottish Textile Showcase if you're in Edinburgh. Guess where we went next? I'll tell you. It was Dovecot Studio. We had about 10-minute walk from the hotel. We made our way to Dovecot. We had lunch there, soup, sandwich, and some treats. And then we went to watch the weavers at work. This is a really cool setup. There's a viewing balcony that you can go up to, and then you can watch from above the different master weavers working on weavings in the Dovecot studio. So as you can see, these looms are absolutely massive, just massive, and the work that goes into these weavings is incredible. I was really impressed. I haven't gotten into weaving yet, and certainly if I ever do, it's not going to be on this scale, but I was really impressed, even more so when we had our guided tour after the fact. That kind of informed what we had seen when we watched the weavers at work. But also along the viewing balcony, there were these tapestries or weavings, or I don't know, whatever you call them, tapestries, weavings, basically art, textile art, hanging on the wall. And they were so cool. Like, look at this one. It looks 3D, like dog-eared pages, but that is flat. It's just fiber, it's weaving, it's incredible, amazing. And this isn't even the most mind-blowing one. Look at this one. It looks like a crumpled up scarf or blanket, and it is totally one-dimensional. It is not 3D, but the way that the fibers are woven together, it really looks like it. From the side you can see it's totally flat, but it's just, I don't know, it really messed with my mind. It was so cool. It made me very appreciative that places like this exist, where artists can keep this craft present and current and something that isn't a lost art. I really enjoyed the visit at Dovecot Studio. After we watched the weavers at work, we did have a guided tour, and we got to learn more of what goes into a weaving or a tapestry, and it is so involved. The blending of the colors and the fibers to make this watercolor effect, especially for a piece that is as massive as what you saw them working on those looms. It was incredible. This whole space was really cool to walk around, to see, to learn from, to appreciate all that goes into a tapestry. And I'm definitely looking forward to a return visit to Dovecot Studio on future tours. Every detail was like an homage to using fiber in a cool and unique way, I guess, and I just really liked it. It was really inspiring. I enjoyed it a lot. After all that inspiration, it was time for dinner. You can pause and read the menu if you like. I got the soup, the pan-fried sea trout, and the baked vanilla cheesecake for my meal. Let me tell you, the food on this trip, every single thing that I ate was delicious. I cleared my plate every single meal. I had the most amazing culinary experiences, and I loved it. I also knit at most of the meals because, you know, every moment counts. All right, just got back from dinner, and what I need to do now is I'm gonna pack my tote bag because tomorrow morning we're checking out of this hotel here in Edinburgh, and we are traveling up to Aberdeen, and we're doing a few sightseeing things and going to visit a museum tomorrow. But tomorrow night we'll be sleeping on the Northlink ferry, and then Friday morning, so today's Wednesday night, tomorrow Thursday night, be on the ferry. Friday morning, wake up on the ferry, disembark on Shetland Islands. So I need to pack my tote bag with the things that I want to wear for Friday, because I'm not going to have access to my large luggage, my suitcases, while the coach is parked on the ferry. So I need to pack my outfit for Friday, and then also lay out my clothes for tomorrow, pack all my bags tonight, so tomorrow morning all I have to do is worry about waking up, eating breakfast, and then checking out, getting on the coach, and heading north. First of all, I don't know what was wrong with my brain because I have a folding duffel bag I definitely should have used instead of this tote bag. I don't know why I didn't use that. But let me take this moment to tell you, packing cubes are worth it. Grab them. The ones I use are linked in the video description. Actually, I'm totally redoing what I planned to wear for tomorrow. So I'm going to repack it. Not tomorrow, Friday. Originally, I packed jeans in here. Because on Friday we're going to the Shetland Pony Experience, but now I'm thinking I'll wear a dress and leggings that day because I'll still be wearing my boots, so my footwear will be the same. But if my leggings get dirty, I was only planning to wear leggings one time. Like each pair of leggings is for one day, whereas my jeans I need to get multiple days use out of them, so I don't want a pair of jeans to get really dirty when I'm planning to reuse them. Whereas the leggings, you know, I'm going to wear them that day and then be done with them for the trip. So, rethinking my outfit plans for Friday. Good morning. Time to start the day. You know what that means. I did this wrong. Cheers. After we had breakfast and checked out of our hotel room, we all got on the bus or the coach and we made our way to Aberdeen. I really love the coach ride part of these trips. I really, really do. I think some people, maybe if you get car sick, it's probably not your favorite part, but for me, it's one of my favorite parts. It's dedicated knitting time, your passenger princess. You get to look out the window at beautiful scenery, whether you're in the city center or in the countryside. It's amazing. Also, there was a little hook on the back of the seat in front of me where I could hang my yarn minder on, so it was really the perfect knitting setup. I really, really liked this coach. June was our tour guide and Mark was our driver, and both were phenomenal. They did such a good job. They took such good care of us, and I just loved the coach ride portions. This was also true of my experience with the coach rides during the Ireland trip last year, so I'm feeling confident to say that I can say this across the board. I love the coach riding portion of the trip. It's so much fun. So after a little bit of time in the coach, listening to June teach us about the Scotland terrain, the Scottish history of the areas we were passing through, different landmarks, whether they be historical or architectural, we made it to Dundee, where we visited the RSS Discovery and the Victoria and Albert Museum. I really liked this stop. It definitely felt like maybe it was not knitting related, but we needed to stop somewhere. You can't just have a long stretch of driving without some stops, so it made sense to stop at these landmark sites. I really liked it, and I know that other people did too. I liked looking at the flowers along the waterfront. The Scottish thistles were so pretty and obviously purple, so of course I was partial to them. I just really liked the scenery. I liked the weather. It felt so nice to be wearing my knits. I was decked out from head to toe in knits. I had my Oslo hat on, I had my Mobius cowl on, I had my Lento on, my Miles shirt jacket on, some crinked socks. I was fully decked out, and I think I even had some fingerless mittens. So I was really leaning into the fact that I was on a knitting tour, the fact that I was in weather that was amenable to wearing knits, and I really was making the most of it. So when visiting the RSS Discovery, we walked around a museum exhibit that told us about the men who were on this expedition, how they prepared for it, how they managed when they were actually there. The ship got stuck in the ice during the expedition, which sounds horrific. Don't mark me down for that kind of journey. And as I was going through this museum, I could not get the thought out of my head, basically asking, what is wrong with people? Like, what like, okay, it's amazing. It's amazing what these men accomplished, and good for them. But what is it about us as people that we just have to stick our nose in places? Like, what made these men want to go to Antarctica? I don't think that sounds pleasant in today's day and age, let alone in the early 1900s. So hats off to these men. They really did something. I'm not diminishing that, but you know, you won't catch me in doing anything near this type of adventure. No, thank you. So, you know, good for them, but it's just, wow. Probably the coolest part of visiting the RSS Discovery is not the museum where you learn about the shipbuilding and the men who were on board, but actually walking around the ship itself. If you followed me for a while on Instagram or here on YouTube, you're probably familiar with the fact that I'm extremely nostalgic and I put a lot of heft behind objects with history. I think that history is so cool. Even if I'm not gonna have any interest in an Arctic expedition, I can still appreciate the lives that are, I don't know, part of this ship and the history that it holds within its walls. I think that objects hold those things and it's very cool to be near them and a part of them. I feel like it's kind of like a sacred thing. So anyway, take that or leave it. I really liked walking around the ship. Got to see the mess hall, got to see the living quarters. There was a man and I'm assuming his young child with him on the ship with me, but other than that, I was the only one walking around, and we weren't really in the same area of the ship for most of the time. We just kind of passed each other in corridors, so I really had the ship to myself while I was touring it, and it was just a very, very enjoyable experience. I will say I did have a couple jump scares because I didn't realize that there were mannequins in the display of the ship. This is not a real person, but I thought that this was a real person when I first saw it, so you know, that was alarming. But other than that, 10 out of 10 experience. After we finished up at the RSS Discovery, it was time to make our way to the V&A, the Victoria and Albert Design Museum. As I understand it, this museum focuses on all sorts of different designs. The headlining exhibition was a kimono exhibition. It was really, really cool. There was this one floral scarf, or at least to me it looked like a scarf. I'm not sure what the correct term is for it, but it was just gorgeous. And the other kimonos on display were really, really, really pretty, and you could tell that there's so much attention to detail and so much skill that goes into making these garments. There were also other exhibits there. There was, I think, a photography / cinema design exhibit, which I walked through. But of course, the most interesting part of the museum to me was anything that had to do with textiles. And then we headed to the cafe portion of the museum and we had lunch. Again, it was soup and sandwiches and then some little treats for desserts. And it was just nice. It was really nice. And then once we were done at the V&A, we hit the road and headed to Aberdeen, where the Northlink ferry would take us from Aberdeen to the Shetland Islands. So if you've ever seen any content on Instagram or TikTok about the North Sea, you may understand why I was a little, I don't know, anxious getting on this boat. But it all was fine. Everything was safe. It was great. It was awesome. It was fine. I didn't really get seasick, but I did have, I felt like I was on a boat for a few days after we got to Shetland. But anyway, the boat itself was very nice. There was a mess hall or a cafeteria where we had our dinner for the evening after boarding the ship, but also we got to go up to the upper viewing deck and get some views of both the Aberdeen skyline and then also the North Sea ahead of us. When we were disembarking or leaving Aberdeen, we saw what I think were dolphins in the water, maybe some type of bottlenose whale. I don't know if that's a thing. I heard someone say something about how that might be what they are. I didn't fact check it, and I'm not interested in doing so at this time. So if you would like to and let me know in the comments what in the world these creatures were, go ahead and do that. But in my mind, in my heart, I'll say we saw dolphins, and it was magical. Also, on this trip to Shetland, on the journey to our destination of Shetland, I had an outside berth cabin, meaning I had a cabin with a window. So I was very happy with that. I thought it was very cool to look out the window and see water. The cabin was equipped with 2 twin beds and its own bathroom, along with a little vanity and some coffee or tea capabilities. I didn't end up making any coffee or tea, but I was pleased with the cabin. And I was also pleased with the meals we had on board. Really, I had no complaints about the experience on the Northlink ferry. I thought it was great. It was a nice little getaway to be on the water, and I had a great time. So the next morning I woke up pretty early and I hung out in the breakfast area before breakfast opened, and then I went up to the viewing deck as well to get a little bit of North Sea content, North Sea views in my eyes and in my heart, and it was just nice. We also spent, I should say, on the trip to Shetland, before we went to bed, we spent some time as a group knitting in the lounge area, and that was really nice. That was kind of the first time that a big group of us sat together, at least what that I was a part of, to sit and knit and chat and get to know each other, and it was just really lovely. I had a great time on the ferry. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here for this first part of the recap series. So yes, this is officially now an installment. This is officially now a series. So I'll be coming back with more updates to recap the Scotland trip. Listen, I know I haven't gone over any knitting specific itinerary items yet, but trust me, they will be worth the wait. So look forward to a recap on different knitting workshops, visits to different museums, including the Shetland Textile Museum, and other good knitting and fiber related items. So stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the future installments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.